Are you someone who says yes when you want to say no? Well, this is obviously the book that you need to read. Don't say yes when you want to say no. And this is our book for this week. Herbert Fernstein and Jombert. Now, I'll be honest with you, this is a heavy-going book to read. A lot of scientific research went into this book. It was first published in the 1970s. I bought it, I think, in the 1980s, that copy. And don't say yes when you want to say no. So this book is, at its heart, it's about assertiveness and self-control in your personal and professional lives. But really, I suppose at the heart of this book, it's all about change. It's all about change. Changing your habits, changing your lifestyle, changing from being somebody who is put upon, in a sense, someone who always says yes, to being someone who has more self-control and someone who is perhaps more assertive, in a sense. Again, in personal and professional lives. So that's what this book is all about. Don't say yes when you want to say no. It's a heavy-going book. I do remember the very first time I read this book, it was heavy-going. I got through it eventually. It was heavy-going again. The second time, I've only ever read this book twice. The first time I bought it, and fairly recently, because it's a heavy book. There have been, I suppose, all the principles that went into this book. Most of them have been sort of reused in other books, and for example, in say Atomic Habits. Yeah, if you read this one, you will find some of the ideas in James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. Yeah, it's about changing your behaviours, in a sense. Atomic Habits is an easier read than Don't Say Yes When You Want to Say No. Anyway, so at the heart of Don't Say Yes When You Want to Say No, it's about self-control. Well, the one thing that I really get from this book, I suppose, is self-control. When you want to modify or change your habits. Now, what does that mean exactly? So, I don't know. An easy example to share with you is, let's say you want to go on a diet. You want to stop eating chocolate, biscuits, cookies, etc., etc. So the idea, the two main assumptions that they make from their scientific research is, number one, you have to remove the stimulus. Okay, so in terms of those cookies, the chocolate, you remove them from your home. Or if you can't remove them from your home, you put them perhaps in a cupboard over there, so they're not easily reachable. The stimulus isn't there. You're not constantly looking and being stimulated by these things that you don't want anymore. So removing the stimulus is the first idea. But then, if the cookie or the chocolate is in the fridge or in the cupboard next door, how easy is it to walk to the room next door, open the cupboard and take the cookie or the chocolate? So you might have removed the stimulus, but then what you have to do is prevent your response. Your response is to go to the cupboard, open the cupboard and take the thing that you're trying to avoid. So the two ideas from here is, first of all, remove the stimulus, remove the thing from your immediate vicinity. Okay, so you've taken the chocolate or the cookies, you've put them in a different room in a cupboard, and you've closed the cupboard. They're not immediately around you. That's removing the stimulus. Now, preventing your response, which is to go to the cupboard and open the cupboard and eat. You put a lock on the cupboard. lock the cupboard, throw the key away. Yeah, destroy the key. So you cannot physically get in the cupboard unless you have a hammer. Yeah. If it's chocolate, I would just take the hammer to the cupboard, definitely, because I love chocolate. So that's, yeah, like I said, it's a heavy book. I'm going to recommend it's worth a read, even though it is quite a heavy book in my view, because at the heart of this book is all about dealing with change. I suppose the simplified idea then would be willpower. Do you have the willpower? And giving yourself willpower, remove the stimulus and then prevent your response is the power behind willpower, maybe, I suppose. That's very, very simplified, I suppose. But changing your behaviour is at the heart of this book. And to be honest, I think changing your behaviour is at the heart of being successful in life. I could be wrong in that, but we all, as we go through life, our situations change and things that we have to do, things that we have been comfortable with, we have to change doing those, and we have to get used to new things. So change is inevitable, and this book, Don't Say Yes When You Want to Say No, will actually help you cope with that a little bit better than being frightened of change. I've never been one to be frightened of change, I don't think. Perhaps when I first bought this book, I might have been, but this book certainly did help me understand and cope with how things change better, I suppose. Yeah. There's another element to the book as well, which is we all have good behaviour and bad behaviour. The bad behaviour is the stuff we want to get rid of, but the good behaviour is the thing that we want to keep. And what generally tends to happen is, throughout our lives, we keep the bad behaviour and lose the good behaviour. That's why we don't go to the gym and exercise. We don't avoid the cookies and the chocolate. We keep the bad behaviour and lose the good behaviour. We tend to lose the good behaviour, again, according to what they say in this book, is because as things change, the good behaviour becomes harder to keep up. Bad behaviour is always easy, but good behaviour always requires a little bit more effort from us. And yeah, so that good behaviour of always going to the gym. Now, as an example, so imagine you go to the gym 2 or 3 times a week. Yeah. But then all of a sudden, perhaps something else changes in your life. A new job, a new girlfriend, you move home. And suddenly, because of those changes, going to the gym 2 or 3 times a week becomes a little bit harder to do. So slowly, you lose the habit of going to the gym. Yeah. Maybe you do go 3 times, then, this week I'll just go twice, and then once, and then, over a period of time, you lose that good behaviour. Now, this book does say that good behaviour is relatively easy to fix. That problem of losing good behaviour is relatively easy to fix, and it usually just requires 1 or 2 simple things. Like, for example, let's use the example of you've moved home. You have a regular gym where you live, your gym is local to you, you move home, and that gym is just further away. Yeah, that makes it that little bit harder. So the easy solution to that is to find a gym that is just as good, that's closer to your new home. But we tend not to do that because we like this gym. We really, really like this gym. We've been a customer of this gym. We've been going to this place for many, many years. And we really like it. We want to continue coming to this gym. But it's harder now. Yeah. So you have to change something. Something has changed already. You perhaps have to change something else to keep your good behavior. So your good behaviors can be kept. And if you start to lose them, it's usually because another element and something else that has changed has made your good behavior slightly more difficult to achieve. And it just requires you to sort of think about how you can improve that situation. And I think that's for me, that is, I don't know how to describe it, but that idea, and that, I'd lost that from my first reading of the book. I'd lost that. That for me is gold, I think. So in the future, whenever I feel I'm losing a good behavior that I want to keep, I'm going to sort of think about why I'm losing that good behavior from a slightly different perspective, maybe, and think about, well, what has changed in other areas of my life that's now making this a little bit harder to do, and then try and come up with a solution. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah. So don't say yes when you want to say no. It's about being more assertive, but really about being more in control. And at the heart of this book is coping with change. Yeah. Keeping the good change, keeping your good habits, getting rid of your bad habits. Okay? Yeah, I'm going to suggest read this book as well. Okay? It's a heavy read. What can I say? That's it for this week. See you all again soon.